Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to today's daily gaming overview. This is where I show you a bunch of new and upcoming games with my early thoughts and impressions, all packaged up into a single video in the hopes that maybe you find a gem to put on your radar, or maybe even a bomb to avoid altogether. First up is Ship Graveyard Simulator. This is coming out of a smaller developer, Games Incubator, but of note is publishing partnered with Playway SA, most noted for, well, you guessed it, simulator games, be that for better or for worse. Success of note coming out of the Playway publishing house includes the Car Mechanics Simulator annual series, as well as the hugely successful House Flipper. However, of note, Playway absolutely has done its part in contributing to the simulator gaming shovelware glut that is flooding Steam these days. Take the good with the bad, I suppose. But safe to say that is not the case here with Ship Graveyard Sim, as this game is an addicting blast. If you're looking for hard-space shipbreaker but on Terra, well look, this ain't it. But if the idea of clearing a ship of its bits and pieces of salvage with a system most reminiscent of all things of Rust's harvesting hit the Red X gameplay loop, then you're in for a treat. Add in workbench upgrades, a basic resource market, sell when green, hoard when red basically, as well as a very clever ship rental mechanic that can end up costing you thousands per working day if you don't keep a handle on it. And you've got an addictive and cathartic little loop going on here, if not a bit clunky on the controls and a little janky on the visuals. Easy to recommend this. Next up is There Is No Light, or more specifically, There Is No Light 616. This is a free-to-play demo prologue build that should be out right now on Steam for you to check out for yourself. The full release, simply There Is No Light, doesn't list a release date, so I'd bet on a 2022 release at this point. This is being developed by Zelart, a newer Russian studio who were quickly scooped up by powerhouse indie publisher Hype Train Digital, whose releases include Black Book, Breathedge or Breathedge, and my personal super favourite, Stone Shard. This one, however, I must confess I've got some mixed feelings on. Right out the gate, this game is absolutely gorgeous, with cutscenes and narrative direction that draws heavy inspiration from the awesome Blasphemous, and with world building and aesthetic in the direction of eldritch, Lovecraftian, and look, I'll say it, Dark Souls style ambience and mystery. The loop, however, which to say it is inspired by Dark Souls-likes is a monstrous understatement, kind of falls over for me, specifically the combat. There is a pseudo-counter system a la the Batman Arkham games, yet here it feels clunky and inconsistent and lacking the flow that is a must for counter-based combat in general. It's always difficult to verbalise the feel of a clunky loop, and while this is a rough start, we will wait and see where it goes. I do implore you to check out the free build for yourself, however. Perhaps you'll understand my misgivings regarding the combat flow or lack thereof. Fingers crossed they'll turn it around. After all, it is still early days, and they have shown themselves to be more than accomplished when it comes to artistic direction. Keep an eye on this one. Among Trees has problems on multiple fronts. Coming out of self-published developer FJRD Interactive, or maybe it's Fjord Interactive, this game has just released on Steam, but it isn't new, rather it was part of the wave of year-long timed exclusives on the Epic Store. Now this in and of itself isn't a problem, but I did look into it a year ago, and jumping back into it today, it hasn't really changed. A very light survival game that leans far more toward walking sim with a tedious collectathon gameplay loop at its core. Content was already thin at launch, and sadly it has made almost no moves forward in terms of progress or of systems. A quick Google will reveal a pretty angry fan base, with accusations that the game has been abandoned in early access state, and I can see why this sentiment is held by some. While there has been a very recent patch, no doubt to line up with the Steam release, the last significant content update was well over 6 months ago, which wasn't all that significant. Be very careful buying this game on Steam, because while most of this may well be explained away, launching a game under the cloud of development limbo onto Steam under the guise of new release without being explicitly clear about its past troubles is at best poor form from the devs and at worst deceptive. Such a pretty game and such a shame, but we saw this coming a year ago. Among trees is best avoided. Chin up team, because I have something pretty awesome to show you here. Miner's Mettle is a very original genre hybrid of RTS and train-bound artillery warfare, strangely reminiscent of the old Worms games, if you could believe it. Self-published by Singular Scheme, and their first entry as far as I can tell, there is something very special going on here. The backdrop is pretty standard. Frontier explorers competing with hostile rival mining cores for rare minerals to ship back home, but hey, if it ain't broke, then why fix it? You cruise around on a fixed rail system playing cat and mouse with enemy trains, trying to triangulate their position between cooldowns and sending recon probes to sniff them out, all while mining resources and running them back to your HQ. There is a unique trade-off health system of adding more carriages to your locomotives, and while each one increases the vehicle's health bar and storage capacity, it comes at the cost of reduced mobility, which does in fact make a big difference in evading the sneaky enemy AI. On top of all of this is a pretty awesome campaign story. It's fairly by the numbers plot-wise and arguably slow to move, both narratively and gameplay escalation-wise. But I found myself really enjoying the voice actors immersing me into their small-scale frontier drama. It also has a horde mode, which is your standard sandbox skirmish, but all in all I was pleasantly surprised by how much this game surprised me. I say check it out, or at the very least wishlist it. Well, that would probably do it for now. For those channel veterans, you will no doubt notice that this is very different from my usual content, but truth be told, it's time for a change to the formula, and so this is my attempt at something a little different. It's all subject to change from the name to the format, so feedback around this would be more than welcome. But know that we are at a precipice for the channel right now, and it seems like the way forward is less uploads, but hopefully videos of high quality. I'll close out with an appeal for the hardcores that made it this far. Thumbs up, or down for that matter, help the channel out in the algorithm, as do comments, and these things would be much appreciated, if only to help future-proof the channel. Beyond that, joining up as a member would go a long way toward helping support the channel financially. So if you aren't already, maybe consider joining Scarlet's Squareheads. Anyway team, let me know what you think. We might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.